Imagine yourself on a warm July morning in the year 2025, sunlight streaming through your window as you flip open the latest issue of a leading automotive magazine. The cover dazzles with the Alpine A390, a futuristic electric marvel whose sculpted lines seem to slice through the very air itself. Next to it, Peugeot's electric E208 GTI stands proud, a machine built to reignite the thrill of city driving, now promising heart-pounding performance with zero tailpipe emissions. These dazzling vehicles are not just machines, they are icons of a seismic revolution, one that is sweeping across continents and transforming the world's highways, cities, and even the way we live our daily lives. A decade ago, the idea of a mainstream electric car was often met with skepticism or outright dismissal. Electric vehicles were the domain of early adopters, tech enthusiasts, environmentalists, or those willing to make sacrifices for sustainability. The obstacles seemed insurmountable: short driving ranges, high price tags, and a fragmented, unreliable charging network. But today, in the mid-2020s, the narrative has changed dramatically. The electric vehicle has burst from its niche and is rapidly becoming the new normal, reshaping not just the automotive industry but the entire global economy. The sheer scale of investment driving this revolution is breathtaking. Volkswagen, a company with a storied history stretching back nearly a century, has committed a staggering $180 billion to electric vehicle production and battery technology by the year 2030. To put this figure into perspective, that sum exceeds the gross domestic product of many entire nations. This isn't just a retooling of factories, it's a wholesale reinvention of the company's future. Meanwhile, across the globe, Chinese automotive giant BYD has upended the industry's balance of power, surpassing Tesla in the sales race by delivering nearly 2 million electric vehicles in a single year. The competition between these titans is more than a contest for market share. It's a battle for technological supremacy and global leadership in the age of electrification. New electric models are arriving on the market at an unprecedented pace. Take Renault's 5 E-Tech, for example, which now offers bidirectional charging. This innovation turns the car into a mobile energy hub, capable not only of drawing power from the grid, but also feeding electricity back into your home during blackouts, or even stabilizing the grid itself during periods of peak demand. The Fisker Ocean SUV, another headline-grabbing newcomer, boasts a world-leading range of 440 miles according to the WLTP standard, pushing the boundaries of what current battery technology can achieve. Meanwhile, companies like CATL in China are racing to bring sodium-ion batteries to mass production, with promises of lower costs and increased sustainability by as early as 2025. Behind the scenes, major automakers are forging alliances with cutting-edge technology companies. Mercedes-Benz, for instance, is collaborating with Sila Nanotechnologies to bring silicon anode batteries to market by 2026. These batteries could revolutionize not only how far you can drive, but how quickly you can recharge, a potential game-changer for long-distance travel and commercial fleets. Swedish electric performance brand Polestar is setting its sights even higher, pledging to deliver climate-neutral vehicles by 2030, integrating renewable energy not just into their cars, but into every aspect of their manufacturing processes. These are not empty promises. These are binding commitments shaping the future of mobility and industry. The ripple effects of the electric revolution are being felt far beyond the showroom floor. Investment in charging infrastructure has surged to record levels. Over the past year alone, global spending on both public and private charging stations soared by 40%, reaching a monumental $60 billion. Urban centers from Beijing to Berlin are racing to blanket their streets with high-speed chargers. In the United States, the Biden administration's infrastructure plan is channeling billions into electrifying highways and city centers, with the explicit goal of eliminating the so-called range anxiety that has long discouraged drivers from making the switch. Yet for all the dazzling progress, significant obstacles remain. The road ahead is anything but smooth. Let us start with the most immediate challenge: cost. Despite rapid advances in technology, electric vehicles remain more expensive to manufacture than their gasoline-powered counterparts. Linda Zhang, an influential analyst at Bloomberg Neff, forecasts that battery prices could drop by as much as 30% by the end of this decade. This would be a massive leap forward, but for now, the high cost of lithium-ion cells keeps many electric models out of reach for average families. The situation is further complicated as governments begin to phase out subsidies in regions such as Europe and parts of North America. Matthias Schmidt, a leading industry analyst, warns that Without sustained incentives, we could see a temporary dip in consumer demand, especially in price-sensitive markets. This could slow momentum at a critical juncture. The second challenge is infrastructure, and while cities benefit from an explosion of fast-charging networks, rural and underserved areas are often left behind. For a doctor on call in a small town or a delivery worker navigating the countryside, access to reliable charging is still a major concern. The dream of seamless, universal charging, a world where plugging in your car is as routine and quick as filling up with petrol, remains a work in progress. Some innovative solutions are emerging: wireless charging pads embedded in roads, battery swapping stations, and even ultra-fast solar-powered chargers. But these technologies are not yet widespread, and real equity and access still lies ahead. Third, the scramble for raw materials is intensifying on a global scale. Electric vehicle batteries require enormous quantities of resources such as lithium, cobalt, nickel, and rare earth metals. As demand surges, supply chains are stretched thin, and the industry is exposed to volatility, price spikes, and geopolitical risks. Daniel Harrison, a respected automotive analyst, points out, diversifying the supply chain is more important than ever. Any disruption, whether it's a mine closure in South America or sanctions in Africa, can trigger global ripples. Ethical concerns also loom large, as questions about labor standards, environmental damage from mining, and resource nationalism prompt calls for greater transparency and responsibility throughout the supply chain. Adding to the complexity is the challenge of sustainability. The European Union is considering much stricter regulations on battery recycling and reuse, aiming to ensure that the environmental benefits of electric vehicles are not offset by the hazards of discarded batteries. Automakers are being pushed to invest in closed-loop systems, where old batteries are collected, dismantled, and their valuable materials are reclaimed for use in new cells. This not only adds another layer of cost and logistical complexity, but also opens up new opportunities for companies that can master the art of sustainable battery management. In the long run, circular economy models may become just as important as technological breakthroughs. A further wild card is the unpredictability of innovation itself. What if the much-anticipated solid-state batteries face delays or technical setbacks? What if new regulations or trade policies disrupt established business models? The lessons of the past few years, from global pandemics to energy crises, remind us that the automotive industry is not immune to unexpected shocks. For automakers, agility, resilience, and the willingness to pivot quickly are now as critical as engineering expertise. All of these challenges and opportunities set the stage for a decade that will be unlike any other in the history of mobility. So, what does the future hold? On the optimistic side, the pace of innovation is nothing short of breathtaking. We are witnessing the convergence of multiple technologies, not only electric drivetrains, but also autonomous driving, advanced connectivity, and deep integration with smart grids. Arun Kumar, a leading industry futurist, envisions a world where electric vehicles and self-driving technology merge seamlessly. Imagine a city where traffic jams are a thing of the past, and you summon a silent, emissions-free autonomous car with a few taps on your phone. It arrives, fully charged, ready to take you wherever you need to go, while you relax, read, or catch up on work. This is the promise of mobility as a service, a paradigm shift that could dramatically alter not only how we travel, but even how we think about car ownership itself. The economic ripple effects are immense. As battery costs continue to fall, electric vehicles will become accessible to millions more families around the world. Linda Zhang predicts that by 2030, the average electric vehicle could cost the same as a traditional gasoline car, unlocking mass adoption on an unprecedented scale. This will create new jobs in manufacturing, battery recycling, software development, and grid management. But it will also require workers and companies to adapt, learn new skills, and embrace new business models. The automotive workforce of the future may look very different from the one we know today. Yet, the risks must not be underestimated. The phasing out of government subsidies in Europe, for example, could lead to a temporary slowdown in sales, especially in countries where consumers are highly price-sensitive. Without sustained government support, some buyers may hesitate to make the switch, slowing the overall momentum of electrification. The industry also faces the continuing threat of raw material shortages and supply chain disruptions. Daniel Harrison cautions, the companies that survive will be those who can adapt quickly to changing global dynamics, securing diverse sources of critical materials and building resilient operations. Environmental challenges are equally pressing. While electric vehicles themselves produce zero tailpipe emissions, the process of mining, refining, and transporting battery materials leaves a significant ecological footprint. The industry is under mounting pressure to ensure that the shift to electrification does not merely relocate pollution from city centers to distant mines and factories. Innovations in battery chemistry, such as lithium-sulfur and sodium-ion technologies, are aiming to drastically reduce environmental impact. Meanwhile, some of the most advanced battery designs are intended for complete recycling and reuse, closing the loop and minimizing waste. The transformation of the broader energy system is another crucial piece of the puzzle. Vehicle-to-grid technology, known as V2G, enables electric vehicles to act as distributed electricity storage units, absorbing excess power when supply is plentiful and feeding it back to the grid during periods of peak demand. Imagine millions of electric cars, each functioning as a mini power plant, stabilizing the electric grid and accelerating the adoption of renewable energy sources like wind and solar. This vision is already being piloted in cities across Europe and Asia, but scaling it up will require huge investments, thoughtful regulation, and above all, public trust. Consumer attitudes are shifting rapidly as well. As more people experience the instant acceleration, smooth ride, and lower running costs of electric vehicles, word-of-mouth enthusiasm spreads. Surveys indicate that drivers who switch to electric rarely go back to gasoline. Yet, concerns remain about range, battery lifespan, charging speeds, long-term resale values, and the perceived complexity of new technology. Automakers are responding with longer warranties, clearer communication, and more robust charging networks. The role of legacy automakers versus new challengers adds further drama to the unfolding story. Traditional giants like Volkswagen, Toyota, and General Motors are pouring billions into electrification, leveraging their scale and global reach. Meanwhile, nimble startups and technology companies, unburdened by legacy systems, are reimagining vehicle design, connectivity, and the ownership experience. Competition is fierce, pushing the entire industry to innovate faster and smarter. Gene Munster of Loop Ventures observes, Tesla's reign will be challenged by traditional automakers leveraging their brand power and manufacturing prowess. In this race, consumers stand to gain the most, as companies vie to offer better products at lower prices. History offers illuminating parallels. Over a century ago, the world transitioned from horse-drawn carriages to gasoline-powered cars. The change was not smooth. Early automobiles were noisy, unreliable, and expensive. Yet, relentless innovation, new business models, and shifting attitudes eventually transformed societies, enabling the rise of suburbs, highways, and a new era of personal freedom. Today, we are poised for a shift that could prove even more transformative, touching every aspect of our lives from urban planning to the global fight against climate change. What does all of this mean for you, the viewer, the potential car buyer, the investor, the policymaker, or simply the curious observer? Here are some practical insights and actions to consider as the electric revolution accelerates. First, stay well informed. Battery technology is evolving at a dizzying pace. Solid-state, lithium-sulfur, and sodium-ion batteries are all in the race, each offering distinct advantages and challenges. Keep an eye on announcements from automakers, battery suppliers, and regulators about breakthroughs, pilot projects, and changes in policy that could affect your options. Third, if you are an investor or business leader, broaden your perspective beyond traditional car makers. The true growth opportunities may lie in companies developing batteries, managing raw materials, building charging networks, or enabling smart grid solutions. Software and data analytics firms will play a crucial role as vehicles become increasingly connected and autonomous, collecting and processing vast amounts of data to optimize performance, safety, and user experience. The path towards a fully electrified future is not a straight line. There will be setbacks, detours, and unexpected roadblocks. Battery fires, software glitches, charging bottlenecks, cybersecurity threats, and regulatory headwinds are all part of the journey. Yet, history teaches us that periods of profound change often unleash waves of creativity and progress. Sandy Munro, a manufacturing specialist, sums it up. Automakers must focus on simplifying electric vehicle designs and reducing manufacturing costs to compete effectively. This is a crucible moment for transportation. Legacy automakers are reimagining their entire approach, shedding old habits, and embracing radical innovation. Some are developing new platforms from the ground up, tailored for electric power and digital services. Others are experimenting with novel ownership models, car subscriptions, pay-per-mile services, anticipating a future where fewer people own cars outright, but many enjoy access to clean, convenient mobility. Startups are bringing fresh energy to the sector, introducing everything from ultra-lightweight city cars to hydrogen fuel cell vehicles and even solar-powered concepts. The diversity of approaches is a testament to the dynamism and creative spirit of the industry. No one can predict exactly which technologies or business models will dominate, but the scale of experimentation and investment bodes well for sustained progress. Will there be failures? Certainly. Some battery chemistries will flop, some software platforms will prove vulnerable, and some business models will collapse. But the momentum toward clean, connected, and convenient mobility is now too great to reverse. The world's appetite for a better, more sustainable way to move is growing stronger every day. Looking further ahead, the integration of electric vehicles with the broader energy system could reshape our cities and lifestyles. Imagine communities where electric cars and buses double as emergency power sources during storms, or where neighborhoods pool energy from rooftop solar panels and electric vehicle batteries to create local microgrids. In countries like Norway, where electric vehicles now represent more than 3/4 of new car sales, policymakers are experimenting with ways to integrate transportation and energy planning in ways that benefit both consumers and the environment. At the same time, the rise of autonomous and connected electric vehicles is raising new questions about privacy, cybersecurity, and social equity. As vehicles collect and share ever greater amounts of data, regulators and companies alike must ensure that personal information is protected and that the benefits of new mobility solutions are shared widely, not just among the wealthy or tech-savvy. For families considering an electric vehicle today, practical questions remain. How long will the battery last? Will resale values hold up? What happens if a better technology emerges in a few years? While the pace of change is dizzying, most experts agree that electric vehicles purchased today will remain relevant and valuable for many years, especially as charging networks continue to expand and battery recycling becomes more sophisticated. For investors, the advice is to look not just at headline-grabbing automakers, but at the entire ecosystem: battery manufacturers, software developers, recycling firms, and companies specializing in raw material extraction or grid integration. Governments, too, are playing a crucial role, with policies ranging from tax incentives to outright bans on the sale of gasoline and diesel vehicles by the early 2030s in several countries. Ultimately, the journey toward electrification is a shared endeavor, requiring cooperation across industries, borders, and communities. The stakes are enormous: cleaner air, reduced carbon emissions, new economic opportunities, and a chance to reshape our cities and lifestyles for generations to come. So as you consider the road ahead, whether you are a driver, an investor, a policymaker, or simply someone curious about the world, remember, the electric car revolution is not just a promise. It is happening right now, in showrooms, laboratories, factories, and city streets around the world. The route may be winding, with many twists and turns, but the destination is clear: a future that is cleaner, quieter, smarter, and more connected than ever before. If this deep dive into the electric vehicle revolution has sparked your imagination, be sure to subscribe to our channel, share your thoughts in the comments below, and pass this video along to a friend or colleague who is weighing their next move.